Chagin, Erev Shabbos, Parashas, Devarim. This week is Tisha B'Av, and we're heading into a week of sadness, of real sadness, of Avelos. Rav Shimshon Pincus has a tremendous drasha about Tisha B'Av, and he says that just like Purim and Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av is a masquerade. That's the word he uses. It's a masquerade. He says in Yom Kippur we put on a talus, and we don't eat, and we say, we're a malach. And on Purim, the Baruch Shalom says, Anechi has to ask their panai. That's why we put on masks to emulate that. It's a masquerade. There are divisions that we experience in this world. We have mechitza and shul, and what looks like something that pushes people apart is actually the thing that allows for women to come daven with a minyan. Otherwise, you can't have women sitting with the men in a minyan. The mechitza allows them to come closer. When the Baruch Shalom came and spoke to us at our Sinai, it was through a dark cloud. Because when you have something of pure kedusha, echad yachad yuchad, coming down into a physical world, kaviyachol, in order to have that amount of closeness, you need that mechitza. And the stronger the mechitza, the closer the two people, those two entities can be. If you want to put a pot of, if you want to put water onto fire to heat up the water, yeah, you can only do that if you have a mechitza of a pot dividing them, in which case you get incredible boiling water, right? But you need the mechitza in order to be able to put these two opposing entities together. On Yom Kippur, on Purim, and Tisha B'Av, we are closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom than any other day of the year. But in order to have that closeness, we need a masquerade. We need a mechitza. We need something that seems to divide us. And that division is actually the thing which lets us come the closest. One Purim of Shimshon Pincus put on a bear costume, and when he walked into his house, his son was terrified of this gigantic bear that just walked in. And what did he do? What every good child does. He ran over to his father, the bear, and gave him a big hug. See, on Tisha B'Av, Hashem put on a bear costume. He terrified us. He shook us to the core. He gave us gullus. He destroyed the base of Mikdash. He kicked us out of his house. He Holocaust and Inquisitions and Tachvatat and all of the worst tragedies in the world. Death, loss, mourning, confusion. Our reaction is to run over to that bear, to run over to the Rebbeinu Shalom and give him that bear hug. Tisha B'Av, in a strange sort of a way, is a way where we can come closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom than ever by means of this tragedy. This mechitza is what lets us come right up to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and in our generation we have more mechitzas than ever. Have we ever lived in a time when the appearance of the Rebbeinu Shalom was so divisive, was so hidden? We have a brick wall between us and the Rebbeinu Shalom. But you know what it means when the wall is that thick and that strong? It means that the two of us can lean up against that wall right next to each other. It's hard to see the Rebbeinu Shalom. I just heard a story where we were able to see the Rebbeinu Shalom through the crack. Maybe that's where the Chosson has those cracks. You can peek through. There was a boy who went to Baal Tshuva Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and as is a minhag, when he got engaged, he wanted to deliver the wedding invitation by hand to his Rebbe, to his close Rebbe, to come be Masada Kedushin, to be invited to the wedding. So he knocks on the door, and of his Rebbe, something like Rabbi Majinsky, something like that, and he knocks on the door, and he answers the door and says, what are you doing here? I haven't seen you in so long. He says, Rebbe, I want to let you know that I'm getting married. I wanted to give you an invitation. So he said, Mazel Tov. He opens up the invitation. Who you getting married to? Beautiful. He looks at the name. He says, is your mother-in-law, your future mother-in-law, is she a Lubavitch or Chassid? He said, yeah, actually, over the years, I got close to Lubavitch. I'm Lubavitch, and she's a Lubavitch, and her whole family is. He says, I have $1 million story for you. I need you to invite me to one of your Sheva Brachas, and I'll tell it to you for free. Okay. He came to the wedding. They were very excited to hear what the story was. At the Sheva Brachas, he got up and he said, here's the story. Years and years ago, my wife and I got married, and we moved to Eretz Yisrael to learn in Kolo, to live the Kolo life. I was going to sit and learn and keep the world going with the power of my Torah. And at some point, I started getting involved with a school that was right next to my Kolo. See, this school was mainstream, And there were some kids that weren't mainstream, and the school wasn't able to handle them, and they were just kicking them out. The problem was there was nowhere for these kids to go. So I butt my nose in, and I went over to the menahel and I said, "Where are you sending these kids?" He says, "I don't know. We don't have the resources, the patience. Our Rebbeim can't handle these kids. So I don't know. We just kick them out. There's nothing we can do for them." So he said, "Okay, I got this." And on sort of a whim, just his heart went out. He rented a house in the neighborhood, and these kids stayed there. And he gave them shiurim, and he hired people in the neighborhood to come give classes and to teach them trades. And he fundraised a little bit to pay for the rent. But when word got out that there was a program like this, unfortunately, there was a serious need, and he filled up. And then the fundraising got more, and he was teaching more classes, and there were more kids and interviews and issues that arose. And it ended up coming to a point where his kola life was just being swallowed by this, and his family life was being swallowed by this, and this program that sort of happened was just his entire life. And at some point, his wife said, "We have to pick. It's too much." So they said, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Tomorrow we're gonna go to the park, you and me. We're gonna get a babysitter for the kids, and we are going to decide." Whatever it is, if it's going to be kolel, then I will pass on this program to someone else. And if it's this program and saving these children's spiritual lives, then I'm going to leave kolel. And they're in this park, and he says, me and my wife were talking, and we were going back and forth. We really didn't know what to do. And we were sitting by this beautiful waterfall, and I noticed a red bundle come splashing down over the falls. And just instinctually, I dove into the water, fully clothed, and I came out holding a baby. A child had gone over the waterfall. And Baruch Hashem, she was soggy and coughing, but she was very alive. And we're like, what just happened? And his wife was stunned, and they realized that this baby must have crawled into the stream on the top. So he runs up to the top, holding this baby in his arms, this red bundle, sopping wet with his wife, and he goes to the top and he sees that there's a large family having a group picnic on top of near this waterfall, and they didn't even notice that this kid was missing. There's a kind of hard of a large family, and as they approached, the mother saw this man sopping wet, carrying her baby, and it dawned on her what just happened. And the words started shooting out of her mouth, and panic and joy and terror and gratitude. And she ran over, she grabbed her baby, hugging and kissing and crying. And she said, I can't thank you enough. And she said, hold on a second, I need to give you something. And he said, no, he said, I just wanted to save your baby. I didn't do this for a reward. And she said, absolutely not. She runs to her car and gets her pocketbook and says, please don't give me any money. She pulls out $1. And he said, okay, that's just weird. Like if you want compensation for saving your daughter's life, like that should be worth more than $1, you know? And she says, no, I got this $1. I'll explain. From the Lubavitcher Rebbe. This is the most valuable thing that I have. The Rebbe used to give out dollars to pass on, to give to tzedakah. But people didn't want to give away their $1 from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, so they exchanged it. They would give, $5, $10 of their own money and keep the $1 from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And she said, I want you to have it. And he said, that is so nice of you. I really appreciate the gesture. He said, I'm not Lubavitcher, I'm not Hasidish. I won't, it won't mean much to me. You're Lubavitcher. The Rebbe gave it to you. This clearly means a lot to you. Please keep it for yourself. I'm done. Just the fact that I was able to save your baby is enough. And she says no. And she gives him one of those mothers that looks that only a Jewish mother can give, and said, "You're taking this $1." So he said, "I took it. It's a crisp $1 bill, and it said on it the date that she got it from the Lubavitcher Rebbe." That day, his wife and him decided. The Rav continues the speech at the Sheva Brachas. We decided that this is a Siman Min HaShamayim, that I'm supposed to be dedicating my life to saving lives of Klal Yisrael. And I left Kolo. I moved to Yerushalayim. We started a full-out yeshiva dedicated to helping those kids who needed extracurriculars, who can't make it in the mainstream yeshivas. And the Chosson is one of my prized Talmidim. And he looks at the Kala and says, you know, at your wedding it was nice seeing you in white instead of in red. And the mother of the Kala says, yeah, and it was nice seeing you in dry clothes. The daughter was the impetus to start the yeshiva that brought her husband, her future husband, to be Baal Tshuva, to be from. Sometimes Rebbeinu Shalom peeks through the wall, but we always have to know that it's him in the bear costume, that he puts up these walls so that we could get even closer. And Be'ezer Hashem, before this Tisha B'Av, the walls should come crumbling down, and we should be able to give our Father in heaven the hug that both we and he want so desperately. And we should rebuild that Beis HaMikdash and be able to go through the Kaisel into the Hazara, be able to bring Karbanas, this Be'ach Chodesh B'tzir and Tachin, B'elish V'shchodesh Nala Alav, and there should be a Yom Tov with greater simcha and purity than Yom Kippur, and more joy and jubilation and just the ultimate party. Be'ezer Hashem, it'll be just like Tisha B'Av will mean something else entirely. Have a beautiful Shabbos and a meaningful week.